What's up, guys? We are back with another Super 7 Ultimates review, and we are finally jumping back over to ThunderCats. I honestly don't remember the last time we had new ThunderCats. It's been a little bit, and things are maybe picking back up. We got a few releases out right now, but this is a special one for sure. We're taking a look at the Ultimates Ghost Jaga, which, depending on your point of view and preference, this might be the more important Jaga, just because he's, mostly a ghost. And this is definitely one of those figures that makes perfect sense as a reissue, a repaint, a variant, that kind of stuff, to get Jaga back out in a different form. And I'm really excited for this guy. Now, he does come in normal Ultimate style package. He still has a slipcover. This is from the slipcover era of figures as they are being phased out from what I understand. And being an exclusive, he gets the foil treatment that we've seen across the board with the other ThunderCats stuff. So it's like this, ghostly ethereal blue. So you've got the ThunderCats logo on the front, and then you've got, the ThunderCats on the back. Pop that slipcover off, of course, and you've got your figure there in the window. More of that frosty blue, ethereal, metallic packaging. You've got the ThunderCats logo down on the bottom, and then the back of the box gives us, a kind of ghostly shot of Jaga, as well as a write-up for who this old guy is. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Super 7 Ultimates Ghost Jaga. This guy has been, in many ways, a bit of an anomaly as of late. This guy was a Super 7 exclusive figure, and as such, went absolutely insane on the aftermarket. This thing was selling for over $300 for a very brief window of time, and is still selling for quite a bit. Big Bad did get a few, but they were gone in like 15 minutes. So this thing has very much been a come and gone type of figure, and one that people definitely seem to want. I mean, I don't know if I would ever pay $200 for a single Ultimates figure, but this is also a version of Jaga that I think a lot of people would prefer to the one we've already gotten, because, I mean, he's primarily a ghost in the entire show. So this is a version that makes more sense maybe canonically on your shelf. There's also various versions of Jaga like this too. He's not always blue. Sometimes he's just straight up transparent. Other times he has a ghostly glow, and then sometimes he's full on blue. So this might be my preferred version because, at least for a toy, this is cool. So it works really well that way. I like the blue, and it's very much, kind of a nostalgic look for him as well, because I think of Jaga as a ghost pretty much consistently. So let's see what this guy can do, see how he moves around. We've already gotten one of these before, so if you're familiar with Ultimate's ThunderCats, you really know what to expect here, especially for a male figure. So his head can look up a little bit, he can look down slightly. You've got a little bit of tilt, you've got rotation at the head there. Arms go out at the shoulders, they rotate. You've got your bicep swivel. We've got a single jointed 90-ish degree elbow. You've got hinges. You've got swivel at the wrist. Now he has an ab crunch. It's really only going to go forward because of this cape, though. If you really do anything else with him, he's going to pop this cape right off. It's very annoying to me. I don't like it. You've got your waist twist down there. It's just a standard waist twist. Legs out. About all the way. Kick forward all the way. You've got good kick backwards, should you need it. You've got your thigh twist. We've got single jointed knees. They do swivel. This is the one area of the figure that I would say has been tighter than the rest, but not in a sense that I needed heat. And then you got rotation, or rocker rather, and hinges down at those ankles. So, I mean, he's very much normal. If you mess with the first Jaga, you know exactly what to expect here. I am not the biggest fan of this cape because it is definitely a balancing act with him. It's super heavy, and it just wants to make him rock backwards. So you're going to have to pay attention to how he's posed and how that thing is in there, especially because of how it connects. We'll talk about it here in a minute, but it is an annoyance when it comes to posing. Otherwise, though, pretty standard Ultimates figure. If you messed with the first one, if you messed with a Lion-O or a Panthero, you basically know what you're getting into here. I'm quite certain that the visuals on this figure are really where it matters for, let's say, 90% of people that are buying this. You're not buying this Jaga because he's going to be super dynamic on your shelf. You're buying him because he's a ghost, and because of the way he looks and what it represents for the show. Like I said, he's almost always a ghost in the show, so this is the version that makes more sense, and we always knew it was coming. I do like the fact that we got the regular one, but this is the version I've wanted. I've always wanted a Ghost Jaga figure, and now we have one. It's very similar to that first figure, obviously, but also wholly different at the same time, because this is a fully translucent figure. It does have a decent amount of paint on it, though, which I'm really surprised to see. It does have a lot of paint, but it doesn't really get in the way of how translucent he is either. So there's a lot of parts on him that are really clear, like the arms and the upper legs, things like that. The hands have a little bit of an overspray on them to make him look a little more ghostly. He's got paint on the torso to break him up a little bit. You've got things like his little unitard thing that connects to the cape, which, again, I'm not a big fan of this. I would have preferred to have seen some sort of, ghostly type of cape, kind of like we get with the Force Ghost figures in Black Series, although done better. So this little clasp connection thing, I just don't like it. It's just holding on barely, so I got to figure out something to do with that. The clasp does look good. The cape does hang well, and that shock of red does break him up quite a bit. The cape is slightly translucent, like it's not as translucent as the figure, but you can see my fingers through it. So that's kind of cool. It does accentuate the blueness of the figure too, because you've got all that blue from the cape coming through to the figure, and it does help make him seem a little bit more of a deeper blue in contrast to what is a slightly blue translucent plastic. So I like the idea there. You've got things like sort of, the ghostly boots on them, so they're not blue, but they are frosted and still translucent. But you do have a lot of paint on him too. The torso, the hands, you've got the gauntlets painted. We've got that new belt piece. That isn't an always consistent thing with Jaga, so we've got that new belt piece that's painted really well. If I've got one thing to say about this figure is that what paint he does have, because he doesn't need tons, is really clean and crisp, and I'm very happy with that. The varying layers of translucent plastic works really nicely. And then, of course, we've got this head sculpt already, but it looks really good in this translucent plastic because the paint on him is pretty heavy. There's purples on the helmet. You've got the jewel on the top painted. The eyes are painted. The markings on the cheeks are painted. His big bushy eyebrows and beard are fully painted. So it does help to bring out that sculpt, and it's not lost at all because of the translucent plastic. And that's always kind of a concern with these figures. I love being able to see through them and being able to see the internals and how they all work, because that's the fun part of a translucent figure for me. But a lot of times you lose some of that detail, and I don't think we're seeing that here. So that's really cool. The only real downside for me with this figure at all is just the fact that I'm not a big fan of this cape. It looks good, it hangs well, it's sized nicely, but the connection method, not my favorite. Now, as far as accessories goes, this version of Jaga has some, but not as much as other figures. That's pretty normal when it comes to one of these sort of repaint, recolor kind of exclusives. So to start with, we do get some extra hands. He's got a set of laterally hinged gripping hands on him in the box. You get a set of vertically hinged gripping hands, which work really well because of the swords. We get a set of the clawing, grasping, grappling kind of hands. A lot of the cats come with these. And then we get a set of these sort of flat palm, resting, relaxing hands. This right one in particular has like some yellow overspray on it, and I'm not really sure why. We get two swords with him as well. So to start with, we get a ghostly Sword of Omens, which I do really like. At first glance, you might think this glows in the dark. It does not. So it's just a, sort of a white, translucent-ish kind of sword. It's not specifically see-through, but it looks really good. The teal color on the hilt looks nice. And then, of course, you've got a really bright Eye of Thundera there. And then we also get this sword, which is like Jaga's sword. And this is, of course, more plain, but more specific to Jaga. So I do really like the fact that we got this. We didn't get this or anything like this with the first figure. I'm not really sure that I care about that so much. I do like the fact that we have it here. I'm still probably always going to use, the Sword of Omens with the original Jaga, just, because of it being that live version. But for the ghostly version, I feel like this is a good thing to have in particular. So he doesn't come with anything else. We don't get the fabric cape, which I do feel like he is kind of missing. I prefer it to the plastic cape, and then we don't get any extra heads. But I'm not entirely sure anything like that is needed when it comes to the ghostly variant. So yeah, overall, this is a winner. Like, this is a really good figure. And it's been a long time since we've gotten ThunderCats figures. Like, I really don't recall what we got last. But this is one that I've wanted since we knew that they were going deep with this line. Ever since we knew Jaga was coming, it was, a foregone conclusion that, yes, we were going to get a ghost figure out of Super 7. And I think for the most part, they did it. They did a good job here. He looks great. They do a great job with translucent figures anyway, so this is just another instance of that. I'm very happy with the way he turned out. Colors look good. He's bright. He's vibrant. The blue works really, really nicely here, but he also has some small changes, things like that belt. He does have his sword versus just having the Sword of Omens, things like that. So there's a little bit of stuff here that's been changed up to make it a little bit more consistent with the ghost aspect of Jaga. And then again, it's just a figure that I've wanted for a really long time that happens to be executed really well also. Again, the only negative for me is that cape. So that's going to do it for this look at the Super 7 Ultimates Ghost Jaga. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.